Welcome to our live video series. This is Thursday, I don't know, it's Wednesday, it's Thursday, the 2nd of December, and we're gonna take a look at the 2022 Hyundai Kona Preferred package. This one happens to be front wheel drive, which I think makes it unique. And there's a lot I want to say about this car, but I really want to focus on some of the things that the other videos aren't showing you. So that's what this video is really going to be about. We're going to go in depth with some of those features, explaining how these features work to help you decide if it's the right car for you. So this is how this works. We go live every single weekday at 2 o'clock, even though I don't know what day it is. It's always at 2 o'clock Eastern time. If you are not watching live with us and you just want to skip ahead to the content, you can feel free to do that. It'll be at the 3-minute mark of this video. In the meantime, our live audience is going to stay with us. We're going to let them join in, jump on. And if you have stayed with us and you want to know how to join us live, let me show you how to do that right now. All right, there's our YouTube page, and this video here needs an update, but there's always kind of a home video right there. We're going to refresh the page exactly at 2 o'clock. You can see it's 2 o'clock Eastern time right there, and you'll see that the page refreshes and our live video takes center stage there. We're going to click into that. As we do that, they're going to watch an ad for, BMO, Bank of Montreal. Nice little ad from Bank of Montreal. All right, we're just going to skip that ad for a second. If you are interested in buying a car in Ontario, let us be your local dealer. We have 3 dealers that can help you out: Brantford Kia, Brantford Hyundai, and Owenstown Hyundai. Those are the 3 dealers that support this channel. If you want to reach out to me later to be connected up with their sales staff, there'll be a link in the description of this video as soon as we're done, and they can help you out, and they'll treat you like family. All right, news and notes. Lots of stuff coming up. It is December. We just finished the LA Auto Show, which was kind of a big deal for both Kia and Hyundai. They kind of had a big splash at that show. So if you haven't seen those videos, we got a playlist of the LA Auto Show. You can just go to our playlist section and you can see the 2021 LA Auto Show. So go ahead, check that out. December, a lot of stuff is coming as well. I've got, there's some Kia meetings coming up next week that my boss will be a part of, so we'll have hopefully some information there to share with you. We have some Hyundai meetings going on right now. We know that the Ioniq 5, I should see it late this month. So that's when we'll first do our first reviews on some of those cars. Ioniq 5, Kia EV6 will be a little bit later, but lots of stuff going to be coming up, coming on here. And of course, it seems like we're through the worst of the inventory shortages. So we're going to see more and more cars coming through here, which is better for this channel as well. We'll see more and more vehicles, more and more trim lines that we can review for you. So that's kind of what's going on right now. If you're a regular with us and you haven't hit the like button yet, go ahead, hit that like button. Let's see if we can get a bunch of likes in there before we get started at 3 minutes. And of course, we'll hope for some more after that. What else is going on? I think that's about it. So we're about 10 seconds away. I got nothing to say for the next 10 seconds. I guess you could say, if you want to know what's coming up on our videos, feel free to watch us on Instagram. Every single morning on Instagram. Oh, actually, we'll get started here. All right. 3-minute mark. All right. Every single morning on Instagram, you can find out what's going live at 2 o'clock. If you just follow me on Instagram if you want. We do a little story every morning to tell you what's going on, and we talked about this one this morning, so that is what we're going to do. All right. Thanks for joining us, everyone. It's Peter from the Kia Hyundai channel. Here we go. Hyundai Kona. Now, if you've watched this for a while, I had a little bit of trouble figuring out where the 2021 Kona fit in my heart. It certainly sold well, but I felt like there were other options that were better than the 2021 Kona in 2021. Now that they've got the 2022 model, this is a car that I have no issues recommending, and it would certainly be something that would fit a lot of people's lives that I kind of know. And just direct comparison to a Kia, a lot of people do the Kona to the Seltos, which is probably the correct comparison. But this being the front-wheel drive model, Kona to Soul is also a very fair comparison. And this one is just kind of a nicely equipped package. Everything you want, nothing you don't, but 2022 style. It used to be everything you want, nothing you don't was like, air conditioning and cruise control. 2022 style you expect to see in a brand new car at a fair price. You expect to see a number of safety features, and that's really what we're going to focus on as we go through this vehicle. Not only what those features are, but how they really work, because a lot of people will say things like lane keeping, lane following assist, and you'll think it's the exact same across every car. They're very different, and we can show you how they work and make the car sort of easy to understand for you. All right, looking in here, here's our name there. So it is the 2022 Kona Preferred. It's an automatic transmission, CUV. $24,199 is the MSRP. You're going to go home with it at, where's the price? There we go. $18.25, deliveries $26,024. So just a hair over 26 delivered, but we usually use this number to compare. $24,199, which is the MSRP. Fuel mileage is also a strong point here. 8 liters per 100 kilometers, 6.6 liters per 100 kilometers on the highway for a 7.4 average. And what that means is that this is a great city car, around town car, It's easy to park because it's fairly short, but the thing is it's also got a long wheelbase. The wheelbase is the distance between the center of this wheel and the center of that wheel, and that is usually, obviously longer cars usually have longer wheelbases, and that can create a better ride. That also can create more interior space, and what I like about this is the the wheels spread to the edges gives you that lot of, like I said, a lot of interior space. It kind of drives a little bit like a bigger car. But for an SUV, this drives like a car. So somebody gives a hard time and they're laughing at it saying, this is not a crossover. Well, it is. It's a crossover. It's an SUV. Again, that line is very blurred about what's a car. This feels more like a car seating position. You are a little bit raised up in here. We're going to go through driver's seat, back seat space, and trunk space. One of the things they did for 2022 that they updated that I really like, and we'll come back to this later when we show you the front end with the lighting and everything else in here. They cleaned up the front end. They cleaned up the back end. Basically, everything plastic here is all new. And it just looks, in my mind, to be a lot better, a lot sort of more mature, more modern, and a little less chunky from before. It's a little smoothed out. It's probably also a little bit more aerodynamic, although I haven't checked that. One of the nice things that you kind of don't see on this car is it does come with the roof rails here. So you do have the ability to put cargo on the roof, whether that's bikes or kayaks or canoes, cargo boxes, ski stuff, that kind of stuff. It really is a very functional car. All right, let's take a look inside. Before we do that, we got to get the key in our hand. Here's what your key looks like. It is a typical Hyundai key right now. Lock, unlock, remote start right there on the key fob, which is kind of nice. And you have the hold button there for the panic button or alarm or whatever we're going to call it. There is also an ability to remote start this car from your cell phone and the Blue Link app. You can do a number of things with the Blue Link app, lock your doors, check on the doors, that kind of thing. What I do recommend is if you don't know what Blue Link is, we just did a video not too long ago. You can see all what Blue Link does on that video on our channel. All right, jumping in here. Preferred package is one step up from the bottom. And it's not a necessary step, but it's a highly encouraged step by me because you get a lot of nice things in here. So you can see power windows, power door locks, all that kind of stuff. That's sort of standard stuff. Some of the safety features that you get in here can be hinted at right here. This little button right here, we're going to get to that. This allows for the car to sort of semi-steer itself, which is actually a feature you would be looking for. We're going to explain how that works. The push button start is a nice feature. We're not going to fully start the car because we are indoors today, but we are going to turn it to the on position. You have a nice updated dash here with a nice color display in the center here. Higher trim levels do have the ability to have a digital dash here. I'm not sure that you're gaining a ton with the digital dash. I quite like the digital dash, but again, you're looking for some value here. You're getting basically all the information you need in the middle here, and we can just show you through some of that. Lane keep type information display, driver attention warning levels, tire pressure monitors. That's going to give you, once you start driving, the exact PSI on each tire. So not only do you know what each tire is at, you know how low or how high the tire is. And of course, we're going to go through this settings menu today. I know this is going to seem kind of boring, but there are some things I want to show you in here that I think will make this car make sense. That little smart word down there, that's part of our drive modes. We'll talk about the drive modes. Lane keeping is up. Auto start stop is up as well. And it's about 17 degrees in our little studio here. All right, let's jump over to here. The other nice thing that happened in 2022 with this car is you went from the 8-inch screen that was perfectly fine to the 8-inch screen that now has wireless Android Auto and wireless Apple CarPlay. So in the past, you had Android Auto and Apple CarPlay, but on the 8-inch screen, it's wireless. Now, a little bit confusing if you go to the bigger 10.25-inch screen. In that case, it's not wireless. So higher trim levels don't get this. Previous years don't get this. But right now, the 8-inch screen, you have wireless Android Auto and Apple CarPlay. So, of course, you can pull up your Google Maps, your Waze, your Apple Maps, whatever you want to pull up in there. And it kind of looks like it's factory built in. It works very, very well that way. So I really like that. Go to the radio here, and you can see the bands are AM, FM, and Sirius XM radio. So again, another nice little option to have Sirius satellite radio. I think right now it's actually free. There will be times of the year where it's no charge, and I think right now is one of those times. You also have the HD radio system. So again, just nice little features in here, nice little options, nice little tiny little upgrades. Down here you have a manual, not an automatic climate control. I think for most of you that'll be perfectly fine. You guys all know how to adjust these things to the simplest thing possible. So hot and cold, maximum air conditioning's over there. Max fan speed, you can roll that around and you can direct where you want your air. It is harder to see this in the camera than I'm noticing in real life. The piano black is kind of reflecting in the camera. I don't have any issue with that in real life. And of course, air conditioning, recirculate, rear defrost, all the buttons that you would need right where you would need them. Let's throw the gear shift out of the way for a second. You've got a USB port over here. and you've got a 12-volt port over there and a USB port in the middle. If you did want to go wireless to Android Auto and Apple CarPlay, you're going to use this USB port, not this one. So just something to keep in mind there. Coming down here, just obviously space to put your phone. You've got drive modes right here. So drive modes, you can turn that way or that way. We'll show you them right now. Coming to the dash, actually, let me just zoom in a tiny little bit here. So drive modes, we're going to spin that knob just like we just did. Normal, sport, and smart. So smart is essentially your new eco mode. Nothing too crazy in here. Sport mode does make it a little more peppy, makes the throttle a little more touchy, keeps you in the revs a little bit longer. It's going to use a little bit more fuel, but it can make it more peppy. Normal is kind of that standard mode. Smart is the new eco. So when you're driving around, just driving in traffic, it's going to try to save you as much fuel as it can. As long as you're driving efficiently, it'll stay in that eco mode. The nice thing about smart mode is, though, as you get into throttle, it can automatically move you to the normal and automatically move you to the sport mode. So that's kind of a nice feature with the drive modes here, but simple, just a few. Oh, we're zoomed in a long ways here. Down here, we've got an automatic transmission. It's an IVT transmission. Basically, that just means it's going to get you really good fuel efficiency. We're going to tap it this way, and if we wanted to play with our own gears, we could do that and switch through 8 gear ratios like that. I'm going to throw it in reverse for a quick second here. Lots to talk about here when we talk about safety. So first thing you know is you have a nice clear backup camera. That shouldn't be special to you. Anybody who's telling you that that's a feature, every car in the country is required to have a backup camera now. But ours is pretty clear. You can see the lines in the floor. It's pretty good that way. It also has what's called rear cross traffic alert. So when I'm backing up and I'm looking in here, or more importantly, if I am parked over here beside a minivan and I can't see what's behind me over there, right? Because there's a minivan right here. I may not be able to see that behind that car, someone's walking this way or driving this way because there's another van parked beside me. So this vehicle, when I'm backing up, can use the blind spot detection system, the radar system that works with that, and it can warn me when I'm backing up of things that I can't possibly see that could be crossing my path. So this car has that. I think that's a really good function there on the camera. We also pointed out, of course, the blind spot detection, which you can see that will light up orange if someone's in your blind spot. And of course it can beep as well at you when you signal into that lane if it's marked up. All right, coming down here, I want to talk really quickly, just cruise control, standard cruise control. We talked about this button. So cruise control is over here. We talked about this button before, and that button here has a camera up behind the mirror here looking forward, so looking out the window, and it can see things like lane markers, it can see things like vehicles in front of you, and it can keep you centered in the lane. Now, a lot of vehicles, and this one included, have what's called lane keeping assist, which is that sort of car between the two white lines are right there. This one has as well. So what's the difference between lane keeping and lane follow? Well, lane keeping basically sees the lane markers, and it's kind of a warning system. It'll like beep at you as you touch the lane marker, and if you just go a hair over the lane marker or even to the lane marker, you can sometimes feel some steering correction where it'll bounce you back into the lane marker, which is good. On my car, leave that on all the time. You may not choose to do that here, depends on you, but I like to leave that car on all the time. Above 60 kilometers an hour, it can actively steer the car and just nudge you back in. So that's kind of a nice feature. And the reason that's important is, the reason I leave it on all the time is I am at fault of being distracted. And I want to say very clearly, we're not alone in this. Have you ever watched a police car go by? They have that kind of hand on the wheel look like this, you know, and the face at the center camera, right? So the screens are distracting. We know that. So what can happen is if you do pay attention to this or something like that, with your lane keeping on, you're not going to drift out and take out a motorcyclist. You're still responsible for your own car, but it's an extra safety measure that can help prevent you from doing something like that. Now, on a long trip, what I really like, or even around town, I like tapping this button on. What that button does is it uses the same system of identifying things in front of you. It works anywhere between, below 60 kilometers an hour. I don't remember the exact speed, right up to like 200 kilometers an hour. It can keep you centered in the lane. So it actually actively steers you, it sees the lane markers and centers you in the lane. That one is one that I actually prefer to use most of the time. You do have to keep an eye. It's not 100% foolproof, but it is a really nice system for just taking the stress out of driving. Works great on open highways, works great in town. Obviously, if there's construction lane markers that move, it can nudge you a little bit, and then you just have to be in control. You can nudge it back, but it does a really good job of taking the stress out of a long drive. So I really like that. All right, so what we're going to do now is I'm going to go through what I think is in the past, I think it's boring, but you guys continue to tell me that this is worthwhile information. So stay with me for a second. For the next 4 or 5 minutes, we're going to go through some features in the dash here, and I'm going to do a better job of explaining them than some other people have explained them, because I know how poorly these have been explained in the past. Then we're going to go take your questions, and then we'll come back and look at the rest of the car. So let's just jump in here. If you find a like to leave, if there's something that you think is helpful here, go ahead, leave the like, and we'll keep going there. So you're in your user settings here. We're going to be in the driver assistance section. Let me just click on here for a second. I've got some comments in the way that I can fade out. There we go. So warning timing. These are all the types of timing. It's going to warn you normal or late. So various collision warning things. It's like, hey, if it's beeping at you when you're approaching someone and you're finding that's annoying, then you can just set that for later. So there is that. I'm going to go back here. And then we have the warning volume, just louder or quieter beep. Driver attention warning. So leading vehicle departure warning and inattentive driving warning. So what's going on here is if you're stopped at a stoplight, the last time I had this one in use was actually the other day I went to the bank machine. I was too lazy to go in, so I sat in my car through the drive-through bank. And I'm sitting there, I'm looking at my phone there. The vehicle ahead of me pulled ahead. My car goes bing, bing, and it tells you the leading vehicle has departed. In other words, the vehicle in front of you has moved on. So you don't have to wait at a stoplight for the guy behind you to honk at you. Your vehicle will warn you right away when the leading vehicle's gone. It's kind of a nice little feature. I do recommend keeping it on. It probably won't distract you, and it'll just make you a more polite driver. Inattentive driving, same thing. If it feels like you're not paying attention because of various systems that are warning you, or it's doing a lot of steering, it's going to be like, hey, maybe it's time to take a break. Maybe it's time to, take a little break. So I do encourage you to have those on under the driver attention warning settings. Forward safety, we talked a little bit about this. So there's an active assist, a warning only, or an off. So this is the active assist for collision warning. So remember when I said that there's a camera in front of this car that looks out in front of you? That is capable of avoiding collisions with vehicles, with pedestrians, other things like that. When you have it in the active assist, the vehicle is capable of hitting the brakes and stopping for you. It doesn't always do that. There are various reasons why it wouldn't, and that's probably an entirely other video. But I leave that on all the time because I want to know that if I'm not paying attention, I'm giving my vehicle a shot to try to slow down or avoid a collision. It can minimize it, or you can even stop the collision altogether. So that's an active assist thing. So anything with active assist has steering or braking included. If you set it to warning only, it'll just beep at you. Hey, wake up, wake up. Pay attention, pay attention. Or you can turn the whole thing off completely. I don't recommend turning it off. I think this is a good thing. It doesn't seem to be in most people's way. Lane safety, we talked about this. Lane safety, you can have it on the assist, which is this right here. That keeps you in the lane once you leave. If I turned it off, right there, that little light goes away. So what we're going to do is we go warning only, means as you cross the lines, it's just going to beep at you. The assist is if you cross the line, it's going to nudge you back. That's where I like to keep it. You know when it's active because the light goes green. And again, if you feel your car just kind of nudging you when you hit the lane marker or just barely cross the lane marker, that's where that's coming from. Blind spot safety is a nice one here. Blind spot safety we talked about. So we talked about the active assist. So, well, maybe we didn't talk about the active assist. The active assist portion of this, I'm sorry for the lights turning off. You know what? Let's go turn them on for 2 seconds, and I'll tell you about the active assist as we pull out here. It's easier to do it outside the car anyways. We'll come right back to this menu. All right, lights turning on. There we go. So the active assist here for blind spot detection. Let me just zoom back out. So you can see that your mirror lights up. The way it knows that I'm in your blind spot is there's a radar plate back in this area here, and it sees me. And then when that radar plate sees me, your light will turn on. If you signal in, it will beep. It should keep you. Now, where you get into trouble is if there's a lane here, but I'm one lane over. So you decide you want to move into this lane. Your blind spot detection is not going to go off. I decide at the same time I'm going to go into that lane. Well, as you're doing that, this is a more common collision. The light will go off, but the light might be too late, right? So what it can do is it can actively brake that opposite front wheel to steer the car away from you. That's what the active assist function does. It is extremely rare that that would go off without good reason. So I find that that is something that I keep on my car 100% of the time because I would rather be in the situation. Let's just jump back in here. Driver assistance, lane safety, blind spot safety. So I would rather have the vehicle, oops, come on, zoom in there, actively assist me like it is. You could set it to just warn you, beeping, or you can turn the whole system off. Safe exit warning is actually a nice thing as well. If you have kids in the backseat or something like that, we're parked on the side of the road and they're about to open the door, it can use that blind spot safety thing to be like, oh, don't open the door into traffic because there's cars coming, and it can warn you. On my particular car, it actually worked when the car was off. I didn't have the car on. It just knew that I was probably going to get out, and that worked out well as well. So that's a nice little blind spot safety feature. Parking safety, rear cross traffic alert. We talked about that. Still uses when you're backing up. Warns you of things that could be crossing your path. We can turn that on as well. And that's kind of it. So what we're going to do now, hopefully it was a decent instructional video. Got about 48 people on. We should be able to hit 50 likes today. So 29 people have hit likes. If you haven't hit a like yet, there's at least 20 likes out there to give. And we'll have about a couple hundred people on, so it should be reasonable to get to 50 likes. We're going to go take your questions right now. I'm going to turn this off for now. As we take your questions, feel free to also hit the like button while we're doing that. And of course, if you have questions and I miss it, we are taking questions a couple times in the next few minutes. Where we're headed after the questions is, zoom back out. Rear seat space, trunk space. I want to show some lighting on this car as well with the refresh look. And we'll talk about the lighting options depending on the trim line. And of course, if you wanted all-wheel drive in this car, I think one thing I forgot to point out, all-wheel drive is available on this exact trim line. You add about $2,000. So all-wheel drive system, and they actually switch out your rear suspension because it has to accommodate a drive shaft, whereas this suspension does not have to accommodate a drive shaft. So you get the all-wheel drive and you get the little bit different suspension setup. All right, let's go to your questions here. Got a question for you. Do you know how do I know the owner? Yeah, I know the owner. So maybe I jumped in the middle of somebody else's conversation. So road noise in the Kona versus the Seltos, similar. They have road or noise canceling windshields or noise reducing windshields in this car. So I don't think they're that bad in either of these cars. So I don't know. Does it show other cars? I read it did. I've never seen others. So just refresh my memory, JC, what we're talking about with showing other cars. Some of the systems do, some of them don't. Do you have any other friends from other dealers that make same detailed videos, just different company like Toyota? No one makes detailed car videos like you. No, if Toyota wants to hire me, they can pay me away from here. But right now, I'm happy to be here. Any special procedures or anything to be aware of if buying a car from you in Toronto? Yes, connect with me. There'll be a link in the description of every other live video we've done. We'll go over that. It's super simple. We sell to Toronto all the time. We'll deliver the car to you by a trailer. Like, it's super simple. So send an email to me. Just watch any of the other live videos in the description of the video. There'll be a way to get in touch with me. We'll have it up on this one as soon as it's done. Somebody's watching for PI. Cool. Lane assist, yes, lines on the road. I still don't understand what the reason is with the car in the lane of the dash setting. Are those the lines on the road? Okay, so yeah, the image, let's just show what we're talking about here. The setting over here. This is a good question because this is why we do these things live, just because, and again, we do these every day, so we can take these little side journeys and come back to these cars in the future. So I think what you're talking about, it was JC, I believe. We're going across here and we're seeing this image right here. Now on my car, I have a 2022 Santa Cruz and I have the top of the line Ultimate package. On my car, when this car goes into highway drive assist, my cruise control can show vehicles, and it shows just like this, sort of a vehicle coming in, and it has a little line there where the vehicle will stop with the smart cruise control. So a lot of cars are more advanced than this. It shows a lot of highway drive assist. It shows all kinds of things. On this particular car with regular cruise control, with lane keep, lane follow, these lines right now are grayed out. If those lines are white, that means the car sees the lines and it can actively steer you, especially with your lane follow assist, which is this button right here. So it's going to warn you, for instance, if this line here is white, but that line stays gray, it'll be able to warn you on the lane departure warning only on this side. And you'll be able to know by looking at it, oh, I can drift right off there because the vehicle's not seeing the line. And that happens a lot on country roads where it's maybe a gravel road, but there are times where it's a gravel road with no white line where it does recognize the edge of the road and it can warn you and see things. So basically what it's going to say is, hey, if I see both lane markers, I'm going to warn you no matter which side you drift, and I'm also going to be able to actively steer you no matter which side you drift. If it only sees one lane marker, it rarely goes into a full automatic steering kind of system on the lane follow assist. So that's what you're looking for here in this thing. At a simple glance, when these are white, that usually turns green at the same time, and it'll tell you what it sees. But sometimes it'll stay green when it only sees one lane marker because it's good enough, or it's a short-term enough thing that where you're driving through with no lane marker. On lane follow assist, it can also use the vehicle in front of you. So sometimes there's a break in a line here and then it connects up here. It'll show you, hey, that line disappeared and now I see it again. So that's why you would keep that screen up. Depending on the trim level of the car, the higher the trim level of the car, that screen shows you quite a bit more. So I hope that makes sense. JC says thank you. So hopefully we got down there. And like I said, on a car like this without the smart cruise control, it basically does just that. On a car like the one that I own, with smart cruise control, highway drive assist, other things, it adds graphics into there, which is a simple display screen to show you a lot of the safety features so you know what's going on with them. So maybe not the best explanation, but hopefully that'll help you get going a little bit. All right, 24 minutes in. You know what, guys? I'll get back to the other questions in a second. Let's just keep moving through for a second, and we'll jump in rear seat space. The one fault I have with this vehicle, it's the one reason I'm not sure I would buy it, and to be fair, the Kia Soul is the vehicle that I own, and the Kia Soul is better here. Getting in the back, I think for most people it's going to be perfectly fine. This seat is maybe an inch back. The front seat here is maybe an inch further back than I need to. I did not put it perfectly for driving, but again, 6-footer here, 6-footer here. It's just a little bit tighter. It's closer to the way that my Santa Cruz is, as opposed to like the Tucson or the Kia Soul in this kind of size class. So it's fine back here. On the gasoline models, the seat is nice and high. The EV models, the seat's a little bit lower, or the floor is actually a little bit higher. So it's perfectly comfortable for a 6-footer back here. But if you have like a 6'2" person back here, you're starting to take knee space away from someone like myself sitting behind them. So it was always a kind of concern of mine that in this class, something like the Seltos from Kia, something like the Soul from Kia had better rear seat space. It's the one area where this car is fine, but not class leading. A lot of the other areas, it's very much a class leading car. Headroom is fine as well. And then if you take a look back here, you've got a pocket just on the one side, which kind of bothers me. I think they should put it on both sides. And you don't have any ports back here at all. No ports, no vents, no nothing. Plastic back seats, though, they are nice because you can wipe them down. Let me just step back here. You can wipe those seats down with a damp cloth and take footprints off there if you've got little people in behind you. So that's kind of handy. The other thing that doesn't really bother me, but it's just something to keep in mind, trunk space is okay. Seltos is going to be bigger. Soul is going to be similar. And I'm going to show you what I mean there because you'll be able to compare some of those videos with my teddy bear test. Teddy bear test, this is not a big car. And when it's not a big car, you get, you know, an average size kind of trunk. So it's a one teddy bear trunk and really no more. Teddy bear's belly does come up above that panel here. This panel is fully removable and you could fold down the seats. But as you can see, if I come down here, lower the thing, Teddy's tummy is already starting to be squished by that panel. So a little bit smaller trunk, but again, for most people, probably perfectly fine. If you're camping with this car and you've got 4 people, then you're gonna probably wanna get a roof box on those roof rails. If you've just got 2 people, 3 people, fold down one seat, one side, whatever, you've probably got quite a bit of space and more than you would need. So it's really the only fault with this car. And again, this is where this car is much more car than crossover, especially in the front wheel drive segment. But in all wheel drive segment, that's the problem with it. It starts competing with things like the Seltos, and the Seltos has class leading trunk space, whereas this one is that. Can the floor be lowered? That's a good question. Let's just show you. On this particular floor, you can lower it down a little bit right there to get a little bit more belly space for Teddy, and I probably should have done that. And that's exactly what you would do. If you had a luggage thing that was harder than Teddy squishes nicely, so he fits in every trunk. You can just, let me just pull these out and I'll show you how to do that. So actually, why don't we just throw Teddy back in there? So we'll take this out, we'll pull it down like that. There is a little spare tire down there, and you've got that. So again, a couple inches of extra space. Let's just see Teddy's belly again. Hopefully Teddy doesn't go on a diet anytime soon, because that would just be ruinous for our videos. So there you go. Yep, that makes a little bit of a difference. But again, even with this little bit of difference, if I lower the trunk enough, you know what, I'm wrong. I was gonna say if I lower the trunk enough, his belly will hit, his belly is clear there. So again, not bad space. You got that lowering floor, which I probably should have started with. But, you know, I think it's good for if you're mainly a couple and that's all the stuff you need, or if this isn't maybe your vacation car where you're taking like everything you would need for 4 people for a week, I think you're probably perfectly fine with this trunk. Certainly more than enough space for groceries and everything else. There are a lot of vehicles with smaller trunks than this, but I guess when it comes into the all-wheel drive segment, you start getting those small crossovers, and that's where I used to try to criticize it a little bit because I thought it was not as good. Like I said, the new redesign helps me with that because everything else in this car is excellent. And again, if you wanted tons of space, you buy a Palisade. You're buying a smaller car for another reason, right? Let's just check out lighting for a quick second. We got about a minute left till the half an hour mark. And we were going for, I think it was 50 likes. So we're almost there, but 7 people. If 7 people can hang out with me and hit the like button right now. Oh boy, haven't got the key in the car. Some of you guys wonder about how hard these cars are to steal with cloning keys. They're not easy. You need the key inside the car to get it to start. So, I think we got the lights on now. No, we don't. We only got the accessory. Oh boy. There we go. Now the car is on. It's in my pocket. Okay, so what I want to show you is we'll do left side signal only. So a little different design here. Almost every one of our cars that have lights on the mirror have a single line through here. Some of the Hyundais have sort of a wraparound look here. This one's just like a single LED there. And it shows you out like that. So you can see that on the mirror. Coming across here, this is actually a really good view here. You can see that there's active wind management around the wheels. That reduces buffeting, helps with efficiency, keeps everything smooth. Over here, really bright LED light that doesn't show up on camera, but it is super bright there, so a single LED marker light. This one does have LED daytime running lights, but it has halogen regular lights. Nothing wrong with them, they work perfectly fine. You can get LED in higher trim levels. You also have halogen fog lights down there. Let's see if I can get in the layer line. Oh, you can just see at the end there. Yeah, a little bit of brightness in there. So again, perfectly fine lights. I always say if you can jump up a little bit to spring for LED lights, those make me happier, but maybe you'll be perfectly happy with these. And you can see nice sharp cutoff with those projector beam style lights. Overall, there's the look in the front. So just the right side signal light is on. Doesn't show great in camera. Left side, you can see it over here. And again, most of the time you're gonna have these bright white daytime running lights and the halogen lights will be off. Come along the side here. I really like this cyber gray color as well. It's not showing up perfectly on camera, but it's worth looking at the cyber gray color. It's just a really nice, sharp color. Again, smoothed out lights here for the 2022 model year. You can just see the same lights there. Signal lights and backup lights are down here. They're nice and high. They're not, they're not really separated like some of the other cars that are kind of below the bumper or into the bumper. So no real issue there at all. And that is the overall look of this car, overall feel of this car. Got 3 people holding out on me. 65 people are on. 47 people said, yes, this is worth a like. Some of you are saying, nope, not worth a like to me, man. And hey, it is what it is. But I'm trying to get to 50 likes, so see if we can get there. New wheel design, I should point out as well, for 2022 on this front-wheel drive model here. I think it's the same on the all-wheel drive. Let's just take your questions right here. Flip around to me just so you can see that when I'm quiet, I'm looking for stuff. Okay, here we go. Do all Cyber Silver SEL trims come with a black roof? No. So again, you're talking about American, obviously, trim lines. We have a Canadian car here. So Canadian cars are differently than the American ones. So this one does not have a black roof. You'll have to check the American specs for what comes with a black roof in your car versus this one. And I'll be honest, I haven't even checked which colors and which stuff come with a black roof here, but it's not this color here. Not this car in front of us anyways. So yeah, there we go. So lines show up white on the lane keep assist, or on R19 they're green. Yeah, on the actual little symbol in the bottom with the 2 lanes in the car, that is white and will go green. When we're in the display that we showed you earlier, the larger display. So like if this was the center display, there's a little tiny light down here that's white or green. But the actual display with the car's lines here and the car in the center, these lines here, if they go white, that is just showing you exactly which line it sees. It may not see the right, may not see the left. And sometimes it'll stay on even if it doesn't because it trusts other things. But that's what we were talking about earlier. Hopefully that makes sense. The setting on the center dash that shows the car. Oh, yeah, we talked about that. Did I miss anything else here, guys? If I missed your question, I usually don't ask you guys to repeat it, but feel free to repeat your question if I missed it. I'll do my best. We have the 2019 Kona Ultimate that will be trading once the Santa Cruz shows up. That's kind of cool. I'm a big fan of the Santa Cruz. I own one. So Santa Cruz is bigger. Actually, you know what? No more rear seat space in the Santa Cruz. I should fault my own car for the same thing. The rear seat space is no more in that car. Obviously, I'm a big fan of that car. Totally different car than this one, though. Truck, we'll call it whatever you want. All right, I don't see anybody else asking any questions at all, and you've abandoned me here at the 49 like mark. So I guess that's the way we're going to wrap it up. We have these videos every single day, and at 2 o'clock Eastern time. So feel free to join us. If you have questions, hey, there we go, got a couple likes. If you have questions about vehicles, we're the channel that wants to go in depth with you. One thing we want to do as well is we want to repeat these vehicles. So unlike a regular review channel, we are going to have this vehicle or a very similar one back on again and again and again. So if you want to subscribe, if there's something you want to know, you can ask us in the comments. Feel free to subscribe. We will get back to you either in the comments or we'll just make more videos. We do this every single day. So there we go, everyone. I want to thank everyone for watching. It's been fun, and we will see you all again tomorrow.